All right, good evening, everyone. It is the 25th of February, 2021, and if you were in Athens, Georgia, I am hoping that you got outside at least for a couple minutes today. It was gorgeous. No matter what the groundhog said, there was some spring-like weather out there. So we are gathered tonight, most of us indoors. I think we might have somebody out on their porch, but gathered together to have our second evening of independent agency budget hearings, as we do every springtime, where we gather with all of those external agencies that we currently fund, many of them quasi-governmental or state agencies. And so we're going to be meeting from right now until about 8 o'clock this evening. And we will have first up Advantage Behavioral Health Systems, then the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Classic Center Authority, the Athens Community Council on Aging. We'll then take a short break. And following that, we'll hear from Envision, the Athens Cultural Affairs Commission, the Oconee Greenways Commission. So I think that's our order of business. Manager Williams, anything for the good of the group?
No, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Well, we are glad to have representatives from Advanced Behavioral Health Systems to kick us off this evening. And so I'll turn things over to their Executive Director, Tammy Conlon. Tammy, good evening, and go ahead and introduce your team.
Yes, good evening. And we are very grateful to get this 5:30 slot. So we tried really hard to get the early slot this year. For those of you who don't know my face, I am Tammy Conlon, and I serve as the Chief Executive Officer of Advantage Behavioral Health. And with me today is our Chief Financial Officer, Tom Hoover, and Evan Mills, who is our Director of Development and Housing. And first, I just want to start off by thanking all of you for your continued support. Your support allows us to sustain our operations and expand the safety net and the services in Athens-Clarke County. So next, I'm going to hand over the presentation to Evan, who's going to be providing you some highlights and outcomes of some of the services that we've been able to expand in Athens-Clarke County. And again, we're able to do this with your support. So Evan, I'm gonna.
Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna try to share some content with you all. Can you let me know if you can see this? Please say yes. Share. There we go.
Good.
There you go.
Got it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Full disclosure, this is my first time doing something like this on WebEx. It's I tell you, it's really amazing trying to navigate all of these different platforms that we have, be that WebEx or Zoom or Teams meeting. I can't keep track of them. Google Groups. So anyway, thank you guys for bearing with me here. I wanted to start. I know we can talk for hours about what we do here, and I know that you guys have a huge time crunch here, so I'm going to try to be quick with this. But and I think some of you who have reviewed the proposal already are familiar with this this graphic. But basically, this is what we have developed. This is what we like to call at Advantage our continuum of services. As you all know, we are the safety net behavioral health provider for Athens-Clarke County and the 10-county region of Northeast Georgia. But what we try to do, because we are the safety net provider, our target population are those who typically fall below the poverty line, who are uninsured or underinsured, and more often than not have many more barriers to stability than just their mental illness or their substance abuse or their co-occurring substance abuse and or developmental disability. So what we have worked steadfastly hard to incorporate is this continuum. And so this is sort of a snapshot of all of the services that we offer within Advantage, and more importantly, to the residents of Athens-Clarke County. I wanted to share this kind of like an overview of what we've done in Athens-Clarke County. And this is something that we're, quite frankly, very proud of for FY20. for years, and I've been with Advantage. I came on at Advantage since 2012, and we've averaged numbers served every year between 2,500 and 3,000. It's sort of been in that range. With the new leadership and the direction that Tammy has brought, we're really looking at all kinds of different ways to expand our services, expand our impact, expand our imprint within Athens-Clarke County. And in FY19, it was about the same, 3,100, just under 120,000 services in FY20. And keep in mind, this is during the pandemic. We expanded to touch 3,800. That's almost 700 more individuals within Athens-Clarke County that we've worked hard to touch, and almost 150,000 in services during that. And that encompasses all of our core outpatient specialty program services that we're doing here. And something else that I would like to highlight is that little measure down there, the overall client stability and functional improvement score of 70% of our individuals that we're working with have maintained their stability or maintained their functionality or improved their functionality across the board. Now, as I pointed out earlier, we have a lot of different programs that fill out our continuum of services. And so there's so many different program measures that we're working hard internally to try to, our best way to articulate and track and count and determine our impact and our outcome. But this was something, and we can, quite frankly, speak for hours on all of the different measures, ranging from our housing programs to our crisis programs to our specialty programs, our clubhouse youth programs, our supported employment programs, so on and so forth. And we have different measures specific to each of those. But this measure right here, that 70% of our population have maintained or improved their functionality according to the assessments that were provided, I think speaks volumes to what we're trying to do. And as always, 30% of those guys did not. And that's what we get to continue to work towards, improving that. I also wanted to highlight our move towards telehealth and what we did this past calendar year in light of the pandemic and everything that we had to do. And there was a lot of adaptation, a lot of movement, a lot of moving pieces. And so, we adopted a new telehealth strategy so that we could maintain social distancing, maintain the integrity and the safety of our client populations as well as our employees. And, during that, and with the assistance of Athens-Clarke County through the CARES Act, we were able to reach, over 3,100 households through telehealth. And that translated to about 8,600 kept services. And with that retention rate, which is so important and so integral, given the nature of the populations that we serve and all of the barriers and all of the things, we do not mandate treatment. We cannot require treatments. It's client choice. That's what we're all about. And our ability to successfully engage and build relationships and develop a level of rapport to the populations that we're trying to serve. These are the populations that have burnt so many bridges, have reached, we're sort of the bastion of last resort in so many cases. And so it's really incumbent upon us and our direct service staff to develop a relationship and maintain a level of engagement so that if and when the individual is ready to really make a change, really get involved in all of the programs that we have to offer, that door is open to them. And so that's, one of the things that we'd like to highlight as well. Something else that has been on, I know, a lot of you all's radar is the Justice and Mental Health Collaborative. We initiated this back with the ACC Police Department back in 2015 through a grant with the Bureau of Justice Assistance. And, every year we're continuing to expand. We're continuing to find additional resources. And, we can't express the level of gratitude we have to Athens-Clarke County and you guys for allowing us to continue this and to seek expansion, particularly within the co-responder development. We're looking at potentially up to 5 co-responder teams. So far, right now, we have 2 active co-responder teams. And during this past calendar year, these are some of the numbers that we'd like to highlight with that. 646 individuals touched throughout, and that's Katie and Robbie, and that is Michael Drew, and I can't remember his name. I just blanked on his name. Anyway, Katie knows it. And we've had 142 consults with active cases, just over 1,000 instances of service coordination and referral, which is so incredibly important within the continuum of care that we have within Athens-Clarke County. and the 44 training sessions with CIT, Crisis Intervention Training, and MHFA, which is Mental Health First Aid. And we also have a Mental Health 101 course as well. One of the two things that we're really moving towards with this that is just a matter of time is an intensive case management and more targeted care coordination or service coordination, targeting populations of high risk, high recidivators, high need individuals. This is a case manager position that's funded through the Department of Justice grant that we're hoping to start within the next several months. We're currently recruiting for that position right now. And also, something that I'm incredibly excited about is the developments. We are pushing the envelope here with the development of a shared information network. That vendor is going to be Open Lattice. We've already decided that we can let that out of the bag. The ACC Police Department has received the opportunity to move forward with those that funding schedule with the Department of Justice. And this information network is going to allow us and key partners to, in real time, coordinate services and share data. And one of the big things that we're trying to figure out now is the type of data we're going to share, how we're going to share it, who's going to have access to it, all of those things, so that we can be sure to make sure that what we're doing is going to be in the best interest of the individuals that we're serving, but also going to make the most important impact within the diversion that we're trying to do and getting these guys into the services that they need. And so that's where we are with that. Lastly, as far as expansion and highlights that we'd like to talk about is the street outreach, which is brand new to Athens-Clarke County. Well, when I say brand new, I'd say just over a year in, we've been doing this and have really been successful in really trying to work out and engage these individuals. So you can see total to date, 228 individuals engaged. Many of these guys are very visible, and you guys have seen a lot of these guys. So I want to kind of give you a little bit of an insight into what we're doing and how we're doing it. 50% of these guys we've been able to refer either to the Homeless Day Service Center, to our crisis center, to our mental health outpatient programs, and some of our housing programs. We've also instituted the hotel voucher program. It began early, right when the pandemic really began, I want to say in March or April of last year. And since we've been able to continue it, we had some seed money from Athens-Clarke County, and we found that it was really successful with the individuals we were being able to serve through that. And we were able to kind of leverage some of these supports with some other funding rates or funding streams. And we found that if we can get these guys into a hotel and into a stable environment for a period of time, they're a little bit more willing to engage with us and willing to move into other housing opportunities. And what we've really tried to work proactively towards is creating different opportunities. There's all kinds of barriers. This is a very difficult population to work with. They bring so many barriers. But, those that are willing, we're willing to work with them. And we've been able to develop some effective partnerships with local recovery housing communities, with local apartments and landlords, and to house these people and successfully house them. So we've been able to, 80% of these guys going through the hotel voucher program, we've been able to move them on to housing. Now, that is either transitional housing within our own continuum of housing, or through recovery housing with some of our partners, or into our rapid rehousing programs, or into our shelter plus care programs. And so through all of those, 42 brand new to us individuals have been housed in programs. And I'm not sure what that means to you guys, but to me, that is very significant. It's very significant. We've never been able to do this in previous years, and I've been working with the local homeless community in Athens for quite a while. But the individuals that we've been able to house through the Homeless Day Service Center, through our rapid rehousing programs, and the new hotel voucher program, we're doing some good stuff. And, we're hopeful to be able to continue a lot of that. And lastly, I wanted to highlight, this is a new initiative that we're exploring. And what we're hoping to do. Actually, this is a grant that we're working on as we speak. It is due Monday, but this is something that we're hoping to pursue, whether we get this or not down the road. But this is a federal SAMHSA grant to become a certified clinical behavioral health center. Now, what that means to you guys in the community is what we're hoping to be able to do is develop a more formalized and operational partnership with our local primary health care providers, that being Athens Neighborhood Health Center, the UGA Medical Partnership, and the 2 area hospitals, so that we can incorporate some medical screening and monitoring, as well as some more detailed and followed up operationalized service coordination. between the hospitals and our medical health partners. In addition, care coordination, which I cannot stress the importance of. Being able to follow and keep with these individuals so that we can make sure that they're not just referred, but they're linked to care and they stay in that care, and we can follow them through the system, both internally and externally with all of our community partners. In addition to that, we're hoping to expand to non-traditional work hours. What that means is evenings and weekends, being able to have our outpatient centers and possibly even our specialty community-based programs more available after hours and during the weekends. And we're working through the beginnings of a partnership with the local Veteran Services Office so that we can expand services to the local veteran population. In short, that's what we've got going on right now. Tammy or Tom, do you guys have anything to add to that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, good, Evan. Thank you.
If you have some questions, we'd be happy to answer. Tom can kind of speak to any budget items that you might have that we submitted with the request, but we're happy to answer any questions.
Questions from anybody?
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go right ahead, Russell.
I wanted to sort of plant the seed of thought here with Advantage about something that the commission and the mayor has been talking about for a while, but this CAHOOTS program that would sort of be an expansion of these mental health co-responders. And looking at how this program has been successfully implemented elsewhere, like in Eugene, Oregon, there's often an institutional partner that helps dispatch units to help folks in need that don't fall within the typical police emergency call. So I just wanted to throw that out there to Advantage and look forward to collaborating more in the future. And, Mr. Mayor, you have some thoughts too about it.
I do, and if you don't mind, I'll note I've invited Tammy to come back at our conversation about police and street outreach at our March work session. So your query is timely.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Other questions? To Mr. Myers?
Yeah, just a simple one. I would love a copy of this PowerPoint if you could have that sent to us.
Absolutely. I can do that. And if you like, Ms. Myers, I can sign it too.
That would be extra special. So.
I am kidding. I'm kidding.
Any others? Well, everybody, we can't thank you enough for your work. Really appreciate it. And you're obviously a significant part of the safety net here. And we're excited about what we're going to be able to do together in the future, too. So, y'all, please be safe.
Thank you. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
We'll talk soon.
All right, everyone. Next up on tap is the Athens Convention and Visitors Bureau. I know we have Katie Williams and I believe several of her cohort. Katie, if you want to introduce folks, that'd be great.
Hi, good evening. My name is Katie Williams. I began as the new director of the Athens Convention and Visitors Bureau almost a year ago, March 16th to be exact, a day many of us remember as the start of the pandemic. But it's been a really wonderful opportunity to join the community of Athens, and I'm grateful for the opportunity and your partnership. As Mayor Gertz mentioned, we do have a number of our partners and newly elected board members who are joining us this evening. Paul Kramer, the president and CEO of the Classic Center. Jack Crowley is one of our board members on this evening's call. We have our newly elected board chair, Phil Douglas, this year, and our treasurer and secretary, Bob Gooch, is also on the call. And then joining us as well is Hannah Smith, our director of marketing and communications, who has done a really wonderful job the past year, well, for many, many years, but throughout this pandemic. So I'm going to share my screen now with a presentation we're excited to talk with you about this evening about FY22. So FY22 will be focused on rebuilding our hospitality and tourism community and prioritizing restoration, restoring visitors to our community and the significant economic impact that those visitors bring. Roger Dow, the president and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association, recently emphasized the critical role that CVBs and destination marketing organizations will play as our communities begin to welcome visitors back, safely restarting meetings and events, and reviving main streets across America. Destination marketing organizations, we don't operate to generate a profit. We are here as a service to the community, to the businesses, and to increase quality of life for all residents. Looking back at our 2019 data, it's easy to see the significant impact and role that tourism played during Athens, generating $350 million per year in economic spending. And for each Clarke County household, that meant an additional $490 that was saved and more than 3,000 jobs. Like a lot of things, you don't really know what the value of something truly is until it's gone. And that is what happened with COVID-19. Tourism and hospitality was hit very hard. It was hit early, and it continues to be impacted by the pandemic. The CVB has played a critical role in this pandemic in serving as a community partner. We first responded to the pandemic quickly and effectively to funnel information, both to the community, to inform the public about what was happening around town, what was open, how we can support our small businesses, and also to our partners, how they could find out information about PPP, best practices for pivoting, takeout, all of the things that were so important at that time. The CVB's response page was recognized as an industry best practice by SimpleView, which is an industry leader for websites and digital marketing for CVBs. We then partnered and collaborated with so many of you throughout the community to launch Ready, Set, Go Safely, a really important initiative that brought all sectors of our community together to safely reopen Athens while prioritizing the safety and health of our residents, visitors, and employees. I want to thank the mayor and so many of the Athens-Clarke County staff for their support and partnership in this campaign that really helped us figure out how to safely reopen during that time. Right now, we're focusing on rebuilding. In October, we launched Athventure, which is our campaign to promote outdoor activity in Athens, to bring safe and responsible tourism back to our community. We paused that campaign during the holiday season and in the recent months with the rise in cases, but we do look forward to launching it again in the spring as outdoor offerings start to open up with the warmer weather. So we look back at some of our FY20 KPIs. The first was really important to our ability to continue to operate as an organization, and that was right-sizing the organization to manage our expenses. We acted very quickly. We had to make some difficult but necessary decisions, one of which reduced our staff from 11 members to 4. While we did not achieve our initial FY20 goal of room nights, one of our key KPI, most important KPIs, we did actualize 52,000 room nights and booked 41,000. Those became so important to this year. And then we continued to grow destination awareness amid the pandemic with 98% media impressions and 91% of website traffic. So before I go into FY22, I do want to introduce the new CBD model that has we have incorporated as a 501c6 organization. You will recall that for many, many years, we have operated as a department and had a wonderful partnership within the Classic Center. And we intend to maintain that vital an important partnership between our two organizations. But out of necessity for the increase of the new legislation that's coming with the change in hotel motel tax, the CVB is required to be a 501c6 organization. So this took effect on January 1, and we do have 10 members on our board who represent business, community, and hospitality. We're currently working with the Fanning Institute to establish board governance, and we're really excited about the role that this board can play in elevating the prominence of tourism through recovery and beyond. And at this moment, I'd like to introduce again Bill Douglas as our newly elected chair and invite him to say any words from the board.
Thank you, Katie. Can y'all hear? Oh, great. Okay. Listen, I really don't have a whole lot to add, and I appreciate Katie taking the lead on the presentation today. We've actually only had 2 meetings, and as Katie just mentioned, we're just beginning to do the work of board governance and really kind of setting the structure for the organization. What I'm most excited about is the independence of the board and the consistency having local business people, especially folks from the hospitality industry that'll be serving and lifting up ideas to help increase and promote tourism in Athens-Clarke County and bring those tax dollars in here. So I don't have a whole lot else to add. I'll be happy to answer any questions toward the end too, but delighted to be here. We really appreciate your time and look forward to serving.
Thank you. So where are we going? As I mentioned, we're focused on restoration and rebuilding in 2022. Using our plans strategically and effectively to market our brand and destination, bring groups and meetings back to our community, promoting those events and festivals that we all love and cannot wait to return safely later this year, and supporting our local businesses first and foremost. Some of our KPIs, room nights, again, I mentioned this is one of our most important KPIs as we are funded through the hotel motel tax, and we look to restore those with 58,000 actualized room nights and 60,000 future booked room nights. Continue to grow our website and social media engagement, which from a transient standpoint is the most important marketing tool we have. Identify new opportunities for brand awareness through PR to spread the word about Athens. Strengthen partnerships. I think we've all seen how important and vital collaboration is during this time. And I look forward to working with so many of our community organizations as we collectively work together to drive economic development. And finally, maintain our right size. As our resources allow, we will grow. But we want to do so strategically and effectively only when those resources allow us to do so. All of our marketing plans can be scaled, and so they will, as resources come in and continue to increase, and as we see the return of leisure and meetings and groups, we will scale as an organization, both from a staff standpoint and a marketing and sales standpoint. So leisure is the first opportunity to really return travel and has been for some time. This is where people are looking to road trips, for short getaways, and smaller mid-sized cities like Athens are really the first place that people are looking to. So we stand to do very well. We know from our research that 81% of people intend to travel over the next 6 months. And we want to make sure that we are strategically placing our messaging and our offerings in front of them, both in the inspirational phase of travel and also the decision-making phase. To that end, we will continue to focus on outdoor offerings, promoting our parks, our downtown, our trailways, the botanical gardens, all of the ways that you can safely enjoy Athens outdoors. We are launching a recovery campaign that will include a multi-platform digital campaign, video, and a series of press visits. With our messaging, we are always highlighting the local products, makers, restaurants, breweries, all the wonderful, uniquely made in Athens experiences. And then certainly as they start to return later this year, we look forward to promoting the events and live performances later in FY22. Some new things that we are exploring and excited to work on this year, the Porcelain and Decorative Arts Museum that's recently opened at the Botanical Gardens is a really wonderful addition to our community. And it is going to appeal both to nature enthusiasts and art lovers, and it is just a really beautiful experience in addition to the Botanical Gardens. We are exploring ways that we can highlight and spotlight our craft breweries and use those as a way to draw overnight visitors to our community. We're looking at a restaurant week, which is a very popular promotion that will help drive additional traffic into our restaurants this summer. Certainly those restaurants need our support and will continue to do so for some time. And then we are excited about the new product of the Classic Center Arena opening in a few years and how we can support that. There's certainly no replacement, as much as we've all come to love and grown accustomed to Zoom meetings, there's no replacement for face-to-face meetings. And we know and believe that meetings will return. There is a lot of pent-up demand for the meeting planners, and we are looking forward to safely returning groups of all sizes in the coming months. Right now, our sales team has been focused on targeting groups of smaller attendees, hybrid meetings, those groups that maybe have a couple hundred people meeting in person while the rest are meeting virtually. But we're also focusing right now on a Book Now campaign that encourages meeting planners to go ahead and save their space for FY22 and beyond. We are certainly very optimistic that later this year, they will be able to safely meet and we'll be able to bring groups back in 2022 and beyond. And it's important that those meeting planners go ahead and reserve that space because when it comes back, it's going to come back. Our sales team is excited to return to trade shows where they can meet face-to-face with meeting planners and other groups, bringing site visits back to Athens and continuing to offer our housing bureau, which is really a unique offering that our CBD offers and makes meeting planners' lives so much easier. So we are excited to work with meeting planners as they begin to safely bring their meetings back and look forward to doing that. So in FY22. Most importantly, it's about community. It's about our small businesses. It's about all of you, and it's about collaboration. And we are just excited to be a part of that, playing a small but important role in bringing visitors back to Athens, restoring our local tourism economy, and moving forward together. I want to thank each of you because I know the difficult decision that you had to make almost a year ago, but it was important, and it really set a standard for our community for how we respond to this pandemic. And I thank you for your leadership and for your guidance and for all that you've done to help guide Athens-Clarke through this time. We appreciate your leadership and we certainly appreciate your support of hospitality and tourism. At this point, I will close the presentation and we'll be glad to take any questions.
Thank you for that,
Thank
Katie.
you.
And thanks, Bill. Any questions from commissioners? Melissa. And then
yeah. So in incorporating, in separating out from the Classic Center and incorporating as a separate nonprofit, this board of directors is new, correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And I'm wondering, like, how were they selected? And how would one apply to be on that board if someone wanted to join that new organization?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we worked with Kathy Lord, who is the chair of our advisory committee, which is the tourism advisory committee. Paul Kramer, that we talked with the mayor, and we wanted to pull together members of the community who represented, again, business, hospitality, and community. It's really important that we do, because the Classic Center and the CVB have such a wonderful history of partnership, and they play a huge role with our tourism community. We wanted to make sure that our boards were aligned. So we do have a few members from the Classic Center board who also sit on the CVB's board, but we have David Bradley, who's the president of the Chambers on the board. We've got David Dukes, who represents Benson's Hospitality and is the president of the Athens Area Hotel Association. Bob Gooch, representing hospitality from the dining end. Paul Kramer, in his role here at the Classic Center. Kathy Horde as an at-large member. Charlie Maddox, Trip Moore, representing the Best Western. So we've got a really great collective group. And we look forward to opportunities of bringing new faces to the board, as we continue to grow and establish as an organization.
Yeah, well, I'm a little concerned because I don't really see much representation from the arts and music community, which is really, what put Athens on the map in recent decades. So I hope as the organization really finds its feet that y'all can reach out and bring some folks from that industry in.
Absolutely. I think that's a great suggestion, and I'll make sure that we have representation. But most important thing too with this board is that we look to be a collaborator with as a community wide. And one thing that we're going to be doing moving forward is creating a strategic plan. And that strategic plan will be not just guided by our board of directors. It will be led through a professional consultant who works with communities and destination marketing and development. But that's going to be an opportunity to bring to the table representatives from the music and arts community, from our small businesses, from all sectors of the community to really help set out a plan for how we not only market Athens for tourism, but how do we, what is the tourism product and development look like, and how do we move that forward? I'm excited about that piece because that's where true collaboration and really we can bring so many groups to the table to make that possible.
Thanks, Katie. I know Patrick had a question, and then we probably have time for one more.
Just a quick question. You guys used to send out a newsletter, correct? I haven't received one in a while. I understand COVID, but they were a nice read.
Yes, we still do. If you'll send me a message, I'll make sure you are still on our newsletter. We don't do the every Friday one anymore because really just of having to reduce staff. But we still do the monthly app blast as well as a partner newsletter every month. So I know Hannah's on the call, and we'll make sure that you are on the list.
Any other questions for Katie or the board members? We really appreciate it. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, and we are dovetailing now into Classic Center Authority, and I know Director Paul Kramer and some of his board members are here as well. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Well, I just really want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about the Classic Center and the FY22 budget. I think this year you're going to see our presentation, which I need to share. Let's see if I can pull that up. Can everyone see that? Okay, great. I just wanted to say that this year's presentation, I will be sharing some information about 22, but I thought it was only fitting to kind of share with you a little bit about how we made it through the pandemic, and then what I think the 22 year will look like. And then you'll hear a little bit about what I think you'll be very pleased with as we enter 23. I know Katie's voice was a little difficult to hear. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's coming through clear, Paul.
Okay, great. As we entered the pandemic, I think we all were committed at the Classic Center to ensuring that as we walked through this time period, we were going to live out our mission even through the pandemic. So hopefully you'll see that illustrated as we go all the way through the presentation. But we understand that our true mission is to serve the broader community as the civic, cultural, and social center, and also maximizing the economic impact as we go through. So some of the things that I'm probably most proud of is that we did the things that I think you would want us to do. We partnered with community, with Terrapin, and we fed the hungry. We partnered with our local hospitals at a time they really needed it the most. And we at the Classic Center manufactured over 2,000 masks when they really needed it. And I think it's important that you know that your community, the private citizens of your community, contributed to our employee fund as we knew that we were going to have to trim back and that those people would be affected. Collectively, we raised over $100,000 for that employee fund, and we're able to help those people that we did have to let go. Very early on, we partnered with the Athens Area Chamber of Commerce, and on a call, we found out about a company called BioPlanet. They desperately needed 30,000 square feet of space. We knew that we had just lost over 1.6 million in one day. And so met with them on a Sunday, brought them in, and we were able to get them in our exhibit hall. And through that effort, they ultimately hired over 30 of our employees. And as you know, now they have become a partner with us here in Athens-Clarke County, and really proud of that time that we had together. We also early on partnered with the Chamber, the Downtown Development, Athens-Clarke County, and we're a big part of getting together with the Ready, Set, Go Safely campaign. While Katie was really spearheading that effort, we were spearheading the GBAC certification, making sure that when we did come back, we could do so safely. And I'm very proud to say that now we've hosted over 128 different events and nearly 7,000 hotel rooms, which ordinarily I would not be proud of to tell you about, but I'm super proud to be able to tell you about them in this year. I think the other thing as I reflect back about the pandemic, it is the community partnerships that we have worked with and worked together with. Our caterer, Levy, you probably don't know this, but there's a clause in their contract that says that they're to advance us a year in advance the commissions based on the prior year. Well, they absolutely knew that this year would not be the same, but nevertheless, it was in our agreement, and they went ahead and forwarded that to us. We ultimately wound up renegotiating with them to extend their contract, and that really is helping us with the arena, as you'll see in a minute, and it gave us some additional support to get through this year. Our corporate sponsors that ordinarily would back our hockey games and our Broadway shows, I can't say enough good about these folks. They knew that we were not going to have the hockey games, and we certainly were not going to have the Broadway shows, yet one by one they said, we want to continue to support the Classic Center. We know what you've done, and we know what you will do in the future. And just so you know a number, that was $153,000 from our local corporations that stood up and helped us through this time. And personally, I want to thank each and every one of you that knew that we were hurting at this time, could not do the normal events that we ordinarily do. And you stepped up as well, recognizing the courts needed help and the Classic Center was there, and you gave us an opportunity to earn our way back. And I will always be grateful for that. I think that what I'm probably most proud of, though, is our facility management team. We had to, when we saw the writing on the wall, we had to right size the operation. We literally went from 164 staff all the way down to 50. Almost immediately, the upper management and management throughout decided that they were going to take their own salary adjustments and cuts that made it possible for us to continue. Most not-for-profit organizations are likely possibly able to make it through 3 to 6 months, but we have made it all the way through with very little subsidy as we have gone through the pandemic. We did that largely by refinancing a debt and renegotiating some of the services and then taking on some of the services that we ordinarily would not do. Overall, our FY20 numbers look great. 433 events. We had 522 major events canceled, yet we still delivered $22 million in economic impact back to the community. And all the while, our foundation continued to invest in education. And I'm so proud to be able to tell you that through this whole time period, we have continued to hand out $30,000 to arts and music students that wanted scholarships. The Paul T. Martin Fund is now up to $600,000. And soon it will be expending another $25,000. He has wanted to wait till he got to $700,000 before we started handing out the grants. My staff and my board actually named a fund in my name that could help all of the employees at the Classic Center continue their education. And most recently, Jack and Ann Crawley started their own fund that will help the visual arts students in our community. So super proud of that. I mentioned that we refinanced our debt. When we did so, we had funds to advance our capital plan that we had shared with you, which this past year was the Performing Arts Theater. And so what we were able to do is borrow more in the way of capital funds, stretch that out, keep our payments the same, and make great use of this downtime. We have totally renovated your Performing Arts Theater. It looks absolutely better than it ever has. And we've also raised an additional $250,000 so that we could put up local artwork from Jill Biskin, really illustrating some of the highlights of our own community. I'm very confident that we're going to be able to come through this, and that confidence really comes from a strategic plan. Early on, we focused on protocol. We focused on a citywide campaign of Ready, Set, Go Safely. And I'm very proud that we have that GBAC STAR certification that really has given confidence to some of our meeting planners that wanted to come and meet with us. Secondly, we focused on much smaller groups than we ordinarily do, the groups between 250 and 500 people, and focused on launching hybrid meetings as well, which has helped us all the way through. And then phase 3, we are partnering, as you heard, with the CVB, making a significant investment right now on a Book Now campaign. As we know, very soon the vaccine will get out. And when it does, we know that our associations, who make 85% of their overall income from their annual event, will want to get back into our building and come back to our downtown. And then finally, phase 4 is really to begin to pre-book our arena that will be opening up in 2023. So our 2022 year is really focused on rebuilding that which we had once upon a time. You're going to see us continue to invest to keep this building looking great for years to come. Our kitchen has not been really touched in over 25 years, so that is our next major effort. And then just some light updates in our atrium. Our sustainability effort is continuing on. You might recall that we did that energy performance contract, which is paying great dividends for the building. And very soon, over this next year, you're going to see us launch a major solar initiative. We're going to put solar panels on top of the Classic Center and on top of the arena. And if possible, we'll also be doing it over the top of the new parking deck as we move forward. Our plan is to get back to 450 events. Typically, we do 700 events, but we think we can get back to 450 in the FY22 year and grow us back from 7,000 room nights all the way up to 58,000 room nights in the year 22. You may not know, but I'm on the board of the Career Academy, and we are launching a brand new hospitality pathway in the Career Academy. And we have already raised over $150,000 to really make that a learning lab for those students that want to grow in the area of hospitality. And then finally, rebuilding already in the new arena, we have over 50 major events that we have on the books, and yet we haven't quite broken ground with that new arena at this point. So very excited about what's to come. I really think when the arena comes about, we're going to be in great shape. We are in good, solid financial ground right now. We're really poised to grow, both with the relationship with our customers and our corporate folks and within the community. I think it'll give us a great springboard to move forward. And with the arena coming out in 2023, I know that Athens' future will be very bright, and we will not only go back to where we were pre-pandemic, but I predict that in 23 we'll rise above where we were prior to the pandemic. And finally, I just want to say thank you for your leadership through this time, faith in the Classic Center that we would find a way through, your support, and mainly for your partnership. I can't say thanks enough.
Thanks for that presentation, Paul. I want to turn it over to commissioners for any questions you have.
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go right ahead, Russell.
Mr. Kramer, how big is the solar installation? How many megawatts?
I don't know the answer to that yet. We're currently working with Andrew Saunders and our committee, but there is a commitment to go out for bid. He's recommended southern facing, and we're in the midst of developing that RFP right now. His recommendation was that we don't only think of it as a sustainability effort for the arena, but with all the real estate that we have, we should think about doing solar panels on the Classic Center, the arena, and over the parking deck. And, look for a third-party partner that won't cost us money for the install, but that they would actually do the install. And the way that we're trying to negotiate it is that we'd be able to buy that energy back at or below where we currently are buying it from Georgia Power. So there'll be a solicitation like everything else, and we will find the very best partners that we can to bring in. And I know that Andrew has got a lot of great experience with that.
So, Melissa?
Yeah, I just have a quick question about the Classic Center Authority's request to become a development authority. Can you give us like a quick rundown of that request and what it means?
Sure, absolutely. Probably the most important thing I'll say is what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that we have any more authority than what we really have right now. Everything that we would do would come back to you, the commission. We have to come to you before we would enter into any of those public-private partnerships. And if you look at our enabling legislation, we can't really do anything that would involve money because we would have to come back to you before we could borrow any funds. All it does do is there are a number of things that we know we're going to want to do as public-private partnerships to earn money from the private sector that can go back into the public building of the arena to further the mission that we were intended to do. And so Thomas crafted that very carefully to make sure that we would stay on track with funding only that which is within our authority and our mission, and that we would always have to come back to you before we would do those public-private partnerships. But for example, the condo project that we are going to do, what it would allow us to do is to do that without having to go through another authority to make that happen, as we're doing right now with the Downtown Development Authority. We would be able to do that on our own with your permission.
Other questions? All right, Paul and board members, we really appreciate your work. I know this has been an unusual year, so I'm glad to see you not just afloat, but really moving ahead with even better work.
Thank you all very much. I know we've asked a lot of you this past year, and we really appreciate it. Take care.
They'll take care. All right, we have up on tap next the Athens Community Council on Aging. I don't know if anybody is here yet.
Hey, Mayor Gertz, I'm here. We're waiting.
Oh, hey, Seth.
How are you?
Good. You doing all right?
My words here. We're waiting on Eve. She's supposed to be jumping in. I don't know where she is. We just spoke a little earlier, so she knows the time.
No problem. Okay. And I see Eve's joining now.
Okay, there she is.
Hey, Eve, can you hear us?
Hello.
Evening, Eve. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear us all right?
Yes, I can
Perfect.
hear you.
All right, and same here. So welcome to the party. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and your staff for your report, and then we'll have just a few minutes for questions after.
Okay, wonderful. And I'm going to go ahead and just put it out there that I am technology. I kill technology. So although I have practice, I'm trying to toggle between 3 screens. So if there's any breaks, I apologize. But we will go through it. And the first thing I need to do is figure out how to share my PowerPoint. We don't use WebEx, so it's just a little bit different.
If you hover over the bottom, you should see a share icon, kind of along with a handful of them that'll appear.
Okay, and then it's asking, will you allow to see your screen? I said allow. And then it's just now, it just says connecting with the.
Oh, okay.
The
exciting buffering circle.
Yeah. And while I'm doing that, I would like to introduce Seth Robinson. So Seth is with Resource Partners, and he is ACCA CPA. And so he's here to answer any specific budget questions if those should come up. And although I created this amazing PowerPoint that I'm sure would have blown your minds, I am not going to take your time by waiting for that to connect, if that's okay with you all.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
There are some great stats in there, so at some point I may just, move over and look at those and share those with you all.
And if you want to email that, Eve, I can make sure that it gets pushed out to the full commission.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so for fiscal year 2022, ACCA is requesting $287,300, and this request includes $267,300 for personnel expenses and $20,000 in capital to go towards the cost of purchasing a new van. And this is the same amount that we requested and received for this current fiscal year. The Federal Older Americans Act established mandated state and local aging programs throughout the U.S. And since our incorporation in 1967, ACCA and Athens-Clarke County have successfully partnered together to provide these federally mandated programs. So traditionally, ACCA has utilized Athens-Clarke County support to fund our senior center, our Meals on Wheels program, and our transportation program. It funds the operating expenses through the independent agency budget. Funds are also used to support the cost of a vehicle to provide transportation to our seniors, to medical appointments, and for personal shopping trips. The money is also used as matching funds for our Grandparents Raising Grandchildren program, our Retired Senior Volunteer program, our Older Worker program, Foster Grandparent program, and Adult Day Health. In Athens-Clarke County, ACCA is the only nonprofit agency that's focused specifically on the needs of older adults and provides non-duplicated service to this population. And at ACCA, we believe that everyone should age well, and we support this by providing programs and services that address basic needs such as food and transportation, but then also provide opportunities for personal fulfillment gained through building relationships, expanding knowledge, and making meaningful contributions to our community. Our programs such as Meals on Wheels, our daily on-site lunch program, transportation, and our Adult Day Health Center serve many of our community's frailest and most vulnerable older members. These programs have a direct impact on persistent poverty and the related issues of food insecurity, underemployment and unemployment, and limited access to healthcare and transportation. And along with our programs, which provide for basic needs, affordable, holistic wellness activities, including opportunities for volunteerism, are offered to active older adults, which support overall health, aging in place, and retirement in Athens. So with 53 years of experience, we know that we positively impact the health and well-being of local seniors and make our community an even better place to live. In March of this year, ACCA became very different. Unlike so many other businesses and organizations, we closed our direct service programs in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We were overly concerned about the population we serve because, as we all know, seniors are disproportionately affected by COVID-19, specifically minority seniors. So we were quickly able to pivot our operations and refocus all of our resources on what we do best, and that's meeting the needs of our community's most vulnerable. We transitioned all of ACCA's programs and services to the Meals on Wheels model with 3 focus areas, and that's emergency food relief, safety checks, and social connection. Our staff was quickly able to reimagine how our work could be done, converting a full catalog of in-person wellness activities to virtual and telephone activities, doing driveway and porch activities and deliveries, and setting up volunteer programs that engage dozens of community members to call hundreds of community seniors, offering reassurance and social connection. Our transportation program continues to provide one-on-one rides to doctor's appointments and grocery stores for those who don't otherwise have transportation. And we actually saw a huge increase in demand for our transportation services during COVID, as many seniors were worried about riding public transit. And then support of the ACCA government was critical in ACCA's ability to respond to the overwhelming service requests caused by the pandemic. ACCA added more than 2,000 seniors to our Meals on Wheels program before we received any emergency relief funds, and that's from federal, state, or any other funder. So the sustained funds that we received from Athens-Clarke County existing contract allowed us to say yes to everyone that calls, and for that we are very, very grateful. So what's next for ACCA? Well, we were super excited because we hosted our first vaccination clinic yesterday afternoon in partnership with the Northeast Georgia Public Health District and the Augusta University UGA Medical Partnership, their mobile health clinic. 35 of our most vulnerable senior clients received their first vaccine. And to say it was probably the happiest day at ACCA in over a year. We gave priority to low-income minority seniors that had barriers to accessing vaccination, such as transportation, and then the complex registration process that so many of us have seen. We'll host another clinic next Wednesday, and then after that, we're going to begin to vaccinate our homebound seniors in our Meals on Wheels program. So with the hope that's offered from the widespread vaccination of the population we serve, we are excited and we're hopeful that we're going to be able to reopen our campus to our clients sometime in late spring and early summer. But in the meantime, we'll continue to offer our services virtually, offer outside classes and exercise groups, one-on-one critical transportation, and provide emergency food relief to our entire community who needs us. And through our work with Athens Eats Together, we identified 170 additional Athens-Clarke County seniors who are eligible for and in need of ongoing Meals on Wheels. So we've begun moving many of those to our traditional routes. And we're incredibly proud of the work that we have done over the last year to keep our staff, and most importantly, those we serve, safe during the pandemic. When our community needed us most, we really delivered. And we couldn't have done this without your support. From the very beginning, staff with the Athens-Clarke County government has been assisting our efforts. Solid Waste and Transit assisted with bulk deliveries to senior residential facilities, and several Athens-Clarke County government staff volunteered to deliver meals. Commissioner Denson has been a committed weekly volunteer since the very beginning. And I'm very proud of our community's response to the pandemic and the investment that you all have made to care for those most vulnerable through food relief. We are continually grateful for your support and the work that we do. And I thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks for that, Eve. Commissioner Uhl and Commissioner Link had questions.
Thank you, Mayor. And thanks, Eve. I guess my question is just about the transportation. Is there a need that you see Athens Transit being able to fill that currently isn't, or is like I see kind of in the report it mentions, you know, folks who have certain abilities that require extra care to get around. But I'm just curious if there's a way, you know, if we're talking about spending a significant portion to help fund this transportation, if there's some way that we can collaborate more through the transit system, in your view.
Yeah, I think there's always room for collaboration for sure. I think right now our transportation systems do work together. We provide door-through-door transportation, which is similar to what the Lyft does. However, the Lyft is door-to-door. So our transportation drivers are actually able to go into the homes and assist older adults out. We're also able to help carrying groceries and things like that. And then also the expense of the Lyft can sometimes be a barrier for those that we serve. And so our transportation based on income level is provided free of charge to seniors.
Melissa, you had a question as well?
Yeah. You were talking about your vaccination program and how you're getting ready to vaccinate homebound seniors. Are you able to send medical professionals into their homes to vaccinate them?
Yeah.
I know that. Okay, so I know there've been some barriers to that due to Department of Health guidelines, but those are overcome.
My understanding is that they're going to start piloting that next week with the population that we have. So, for example, yesterday they were thinking they may have a couple of vaccinations that were left over, and so they were going to yesterday go into a couple of homes. I don't understand what those barriers were. I wasn't part of those conversations, but I do believe it's going to be Dr. Lester and the medical students who may be going into the homes to do those vaccinations.
Great. I have another question about services for homebound or disabled seniors. I know in the Meals on Wheels program, volunteers are able to do some assessment of folks' living conditions. Are you able to hook seniors up with services for basic household chores and yard service and things like that through the Council on Aging?
We do a little bit of that. We do have some very dedicated volunteers who assist with some of those handyman services. We actually launched a program right before COVID started called Men's Shed, which recruits retired seniors to help other seniors with those types of projects. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, that had to be put on hold, but we did have officially relaunched it as of last week. So hopefully we can deal with more of that. But we've also worked with partners such as Habitat. We had a grant with Home Depot where their employees went out and did some major renovations. And then as things come up, such as wheelchair ramps, installing air conditioner units, we've had clients who, when we went out and did the initial assessment for Meals on Wheels, that they didn't have a front door. The front door was propped up. So, we'll make sure that we get someone out there. And we do have donors who give us what are called emergency relief funds. And we use some of those funds a lot of times for those types of services.
Thank you.
And I think Commissioner Myers also had a question.
Okay. Hi, Eve. Thank you for the work you guys do. I lost my mother just a couple of years ago, who would be in her mid 90s now, and I've often think that how awful this would be, for her in many different ways. And I'm wondering as well if you guys have done anything with electronics and the elderly during this COVID time. I know I have a cousin who's in her mid 80s and is in an assisted living home, and I'm not up in New York and I'm not her sister. But I keep wanting to go up there and get her a cheap iPad or something so that she can communicate, because there's so much social connection that those of us who are able to use these electronics have been able to have. Have you had any? Have there been any programs or anything going on in that area? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I hate that the PowerPoint wasn't there, because I actually had some stats and some information about that. So when the email comes over, check it out. But we, part of our pivot was, as our Center for Active Living has this very robust catalog of wellness activities that are typically offered in person. We knew, like you, immediately our concern was social isolation with older adults. And so our Center for Active Living, our senior center staff, took that catalog and turned it virtual. So we're able to offer most of our activities virtually. We have a Tai Chi, we have a yoga instructor. We are doing trips. Yesterday, they went to Quebec, Canada, virtually. Our challenge continues to be, we serve a very diverse population of older adults. We serve people who have technology and have the means to afford the technology as well as the Wi-Fi access. But then we also serve a lot of older adults who don't. So trying to get through that digital divide has been a very big challenge for us. We've done activities such as The Price is Right, Bingo, Name That Tune through telephone with our clients. We've also done where we've hooked our clients up with one another so that they could have buddy systems. Our staff has gone, they've done over 1,000 driveway visits where they've just gone to clients' homes, been in their driveway, done bingo with them. So we've really tried to, we have challenges because we serve different seniors. Just like every person is different, every senior is different. So for those who are able to do what you and I are doing right now and communicate via technology, we certainly have a robust offering for that. For those who have not, we found ways to bridge that digital divide by doing in-person and other types as well.
Well, thank you for that creative problem solving.
I think we've got time for one more question. If there's anything else for you. Yeah, Jesse.
Thanks, Mayor. I just, because it didn't seem like anybody else had one. So I guess I just wanted to follow up on the transportation thing. Am I understanding correctly that the door-to-door service that the Lyft provides is qualitatively different enough from the door-through-door service that y'all are doing that it makes sense to kind of have that be a separate thing? Is that primarily the kind of transportation services that y'all are talking about? Or is there also, I guess I'm wondering, is there anywhere where you see that it would behoove us to, fund a route going somewhere that it doesn't currently like that? Or is the stuff that y'all are doing entirely separate in the way it functions? Does that make sense as a question?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's differences and there's some crossover. When we talk to seniors, and this is a large part of what we do, is to gauge feedback from them. There's a lot of challenges with public transportation because of routes, because of the ability to get to bus stops. There's a lot of sidewalks that are lacking. I think the biggest challenge, honestly, with Lyft is the expense of Lyft for many of our seniors. And then also we provide, most of the time outside of COVID, we provide congregate trips. So we're able to take a group of 15 seniors to Walmart at one time to go grocery shopping. We're able to bring a group of 15 seniors down to the senior center. So I think there's ways that our transportation is different, and I think there are ways that we connect. I mean, I think it's always worth having conversations about how we can continue to work together, because when you talk to seniors in our community and you ask what is their number one need, transportation always tops the list. When you ask what do you expect your need to be as you age in Athens, transportation and housing always top the list. So I'm always willing to have discussions if there's ways that we can expand transportation offerings by working closer together with Lyft or transit, for sure.
Well, Eve, we can't thank you enough for everything that you've been able to do this year, despite the challenges, and obviously, like you've discussed, the need to pivot. But hope you have a great night, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much, and thank you all so much for all that you've done for us.
Thank you, and thank you, Seth.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
You
Bye-bye.
too. All right, everyone. We're going to take just a very short break and see that Reverend Lett is here with Envision. So we're going to pick back up right at 7 o'clock sharp. All right, welcome back, everyone. We have just a few additional agencies here on our budget hearings with our independent agencies. And up on tap now, we have representing Envision Athens, Pastor Benjamin Lett and David Bradley. So I'm going to turn it over to both of you to discuss the anticipated work in the year ahead for Envision, and then we'll have just a couple of minutes for questions for commissioners.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, and to all of you guys. We just leading a community like ours is never easy. Leading a community like ours, certainly over the last year, has been nothing short of miraculous. So we want to thank you guys. We hopefully we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's because of you. So we just want to start off by just saying thank you to that. So as Mayor Gertz had noted, I'm David Bradley, and I have the privilege of serving as chair of Envision Athens, the Implementation Oversight Committee for 2021. And I'm joined tonight by Pastor Benjamin Lett, who is the vice chair. So I'm just going to go through a super quick component and then let Pastor Lett take over, and then I'll close out. So as you know, Envision is a community-wide effort to develop a common vision for the future of Athens and Clarke County. The whole process with thousands of people involved has resulted in a visionary yet achievable multidimensional strategy to build community and economic development for the next 20 years. And as you know, every county in the state is required to have a comprehensive plan for the future. In 2017, you took that mandate seriously, and I think that deserves a pat on the back. Unlike most other counties, you took that mandate seriously, and you began the Envision Athens process. So it's a vision plan. But this plan has has legs, and it pulls community partners together to accomplish real goals that were set up in the plan. And, to be honest, I've seen a gazillion of vision plans in the communities I've been in, and I've helped develop vision plans, but this is unprecedented. So the Athens-Clarke County Unified Government has funded this community vision effort at $75,000 over the past few years. And this plan was put together in 2017 with an understanding that we would need to revisit and redevelop a plan in 5 years. So that's next year. So our proposal to you is actually for $96,750, which is a prorated portion of what we might expect that revisioning to look like. It's not a request that we would think we would continue to come back asking for. It's just a portion of the revisioning aspect. And we can talk about that in a few minutes. But so at this point, let me just turn it over to Pastor Lett to talk about his experiences and his hopes for Envision Athens.
I do thank all of you for allowing us this opportunity to come before you to make this appeal for budgetary allocations from Athens-Clarke County Unified Government. I would like to always say that when it comes to Envision Athens and the work that we've done, I think that we've made some great groundwork. We've laid a great foundation, and the community support has been tremendous. One of the greatest efforts that we have tried to make, and we think that we've been successful in, especially starting at this point in this juncture, is to make a connection between the community and those who offer jobs and other services in our wonderful city. A lot of times people in our community, especially those on my side of the track, feel such a great disconnect, especially between the corporate world and the people in the community. We are noted by some, especially those who are part of the UGA community, as the locals. We're proud to be called the locals, but the locals have also seen it necessary and to connect those individuals who are the grassroots people of our community to those people who are coming in with corporations, jobs, and industry. One of the things that we strive to do all the time is look, first of all, at the health of the people in the community. That is the physical health, the mental health, and also the emotional health. So in doing so, we've been able to provide food. We've been able to point people and connect people with helping agencies that would not only help them with the physical help, but also the emotional help. We've been able to make sure that there were agencies that would come into the city, that they would also open themselves up, that we would have job banks, and that they would feel like the people that live here, that we as the locals, as they call us, are people that they can invest their time and efforts in. We are very proud to be able to say that there are over 50 agencies, 50 businesses that join with us in the partnership, along with Athens-Clarke County United Government, to make sure that our efforts are not in vain. If you look even at some of the comments that have been made, and we sent you some of the handouts that remind a lot of the community people that we have indeed been engaging the community with those who are in the corporate sector of the city of Athens-Clarke County, that we have had made some amazing strides in connecting those who are in the government with those that are on the people that are part of our community, as well as those who are coming in with businesses into the area. We're very proud of a lot of the work that we've done, and I know David has said that the sum of money that we're asking for, the $96,750, is not something that we will be coming back for over and over and over again from you. But I'm quick to say that even if we did, we think that the work that we've been able to implement and the work that we've been able to oversee is worth even more than what we're asking for. We're very delighted. People like David, who've given them the time and the efforts to make sure that we hear from our community, that we're able to answer questions, and that we unite the community in such a way that during times when we've had lunches, that we've had community gatherings, that we've been able to help people with the collecting of the census that went out this past year, and also convening small work groups through Zoom and encouraging them to think better about Athens and trying to find out more that we can do to increase the support of local creative economic and community development throughout the city of Athens. So I just want to say that with what we've done, if you look at our footwork, if you look at what we've done already, we think and we know that we should be funded. So I say that in short, because what we've done is worth it.
Thank you, Pastor Matt. Y'all, as I just close out, just to remind you that we have 14 focus areas of programming, but they can all be more simply narrowed down to three different areas, and those areas are golly, Pete. Those areas would be people, place, and prosperity. So bearing in mind, y'all, Envision Athens, people might want to say, gosh, what do you do? What have you done? And we want to be cautious in suggesting that we are not the doers, but we are the conveners of odd bedfellow partners that get together and accomplish the goals that we had set out to begin with. So as just to go over a couple of these slides in this in the people component, as Pastor Led had noted, we launched the Athens Creators Directory, and that is actually proven to be very powerful during the Christmas season and getting local artists funding for Christmas presents and holiday gifts. We connected Abundance to Athens Eats Together, so we increased fresh food access throughout COVID, and we all know and love Erin Barger, and that was really a commitment that she held, and she worked hard every single day. In the place component, again, I want to make sure that we point out that the key word is together. Again, Envision Athens doesn't need to be the guys that are holding the banner that said, we did this, because we don't. We just convene people together to get the work done. So that achievement of 20% of Athens-Clarke County land is protected green space, That's a project that was opted in 2017, and again, thanks to Athens-Clarke County Unified Government, we all said that was important, and we tried to continue to push it and to promote it and to get people engaged in that process. And then prosperity. We worked hard with our community partners to enact the Athens Work Initiative shortly after the pandemic began its crusade. And so we were able to help existing restaurants to feed folks who are actually working. And we don't have a dollar amount of what type of economic impact there was, but it was very substantial. We were pivotal partners in Ready, Set, Go Safely campaign. We also helped connect, Envision Athens was one of the convening bodies to connect 60 businesses that did not have access to Paycheck Protection Program funds. We were able to get them connected to local financial institutions, and it provided nearly $4 million to in Paycheck Protection Program funding and 400 jobs that were saved. And lastly, and part of the joy of Athens is we were the convening host of a B Corp certification workshop that sort of tries to get businesses to realize that that purpose and profit can work together. It's really exciting. So as we close out, I'll just tell you, we are trying and succeeding every day to pull various partners to the table to accomplish the work to help create a better Athens. Our Implementation Oversight Committee is a diverse group of Athenians made up of, including Mayor Gertz and Commissioners Denson and Myers, and representatives from our other institutional investors, as well as engaged and interested citizens like Pastor Led. Y'all, I would just say we are indeed moving mountains, but it takes many shovels, one at a time, to get that done. And our hope is that you'll recognize that your investment is well spent and that your confidence in the work of Envision Athens will continue. And Mayor Gertz, that's all that we've got.
Thank you, David and Pastor Led. Questions from commissioners? Mr. Myers, anything you want to highlight?
I want to highlight. Well, I want to ask for clarification. I may have spaced it out, David. If I did, I apologize. The extra money that's being asked for this year, could you review that again? Why it's only short? It's only needed this year.
That's correct. So in 2017, I believe, is when we funded for the vision plan.
Mm-hmm.
And with the codicil that it needs to be updated every 5 years. So that fifth year is coming up in 2022. So which is sort of in this funding cycle. So we're projecting that total cost of that revision will be in that $45,000 range, and so we are prorating that cost of that plan amongst the institutional investors. We, again, do not expect that we would come back to you in subsequent years and ask for that same amount of money, because that additional funding is very specifically, very directed towards that plan, towards the rework of the plan.
Is that for a staff position, or is it for the outreach, or is it a combination of what's in that budget?
We would be contracting with a company to help walk us through that process. It won't be nearly as extensive as the initial process of setting the plan, but they're not inexpensive deals to have folks come in. But that would include very extensive outreach into the community, because it has to be the community's plan. It's a great question, and the only way it's a community's plan is to get the community engaged and involved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
Yeah, Melissa.
Yeah, that directory for artists, where is that on the Envision website? I was totally unaware of that.
Commissioner, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure where that is at this point, but I will get that back out to you. But it just came out, I believe, in November. And interestingly, we through the chamber with we did a Mask On Athens component, and we raised funds to help finalize that creative arts directory. So I'll get back to you with answers on that. I'm sorry.
Was that in partnership with the Cultural Affairs Commission?
It may have been.
Because I'm pretty sure they were working on something of that nature.
We funded that. We gave $1,500 towards that. But they won one of our Arts and Community Awards for that.
Uh-huh.
I guess Jesse's hand also.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to double back on Carol's question in that maybe I'm reading this wrong, but it does show an FY23 projected that still has the increase. It's actually a bit more. So is the revisioning process something that's going to take a couple of years and that's why, or is that?
No, I'm not. Gosh, Commissioner Hool, I'm not. That's a really good, solid question. It is our expectation that it would not go beyond 2022. And so the only thing I might suggest to you is that we probably put that together with some expediency and perhaps didn't cross our T's and dot our I's. I do not expect that we would be coming back and asking for additional funds in 2020, in 22, 23.
Okay.
All right. David, Pastor Lett, thank you so much for coming out and joining us tonight. Hope both of you are safe out there.
Hey, thanks for all that you guys do. Thank you very much.
Thank you for consideration.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
Good to see all of you.
All right. We have 2 presentations remaining. Next up on tap is the Athens Cultural Affairs Commission. And I know at least Andrew Salinas is with us tonight. Good evening. We'll go ahead and turn it over to you for your presentation, and then we'll have a few minutes for commissioner questions.
Great. Thank you, everybody. So I wanted to share our year in review so you guys can get a sense of what we've been up to the past year. So our past year, we have been, can you all see my screen okay?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. So over the past year, we have cited our bus shelters. We now have 45 new artistic bus shelters that were all cited over the past year. 19 of those, there were 19 different artists, 10 were local and nine were non-local. So that's a nice little mix. And this great project really expanded our reach throughout the county in a way that we've never done before. So we're entering our 10th year right now. We turned 10 in January. And, you know, we're pretty proud of what we were able to achieve in the past year, building upon our early successes. As you all know, about this time a year ago, a group of us met to select the first 10 nominees for the Athens Music Walk of Fame. Those were announced midsummer and placed in the ground in September at a really great cost, really efficient initiative. We spent $5,000 in our discretionary budget for the design that we will own in perpetuity, that the county will own in perpetuity. And the cost of fabrication for the markers are right at $1,000 each. So really cost effective. Moving on to our SPLOS projects. Well, let me back up. The Athens Music Walk of Fame is not cost funded. That's one, like the Hot Corner mural. This came from our discretionary budgets that we're asking to remain the same from this current fiscal year to next. And you know, with that discretion, we can do more projects like the Music Walk of Fame and like the Hot Corner mural, which, to be candid, are 2 of our most beloved projects that we've undertaken. We will be adding an additional 5 musicians or musical entities to the Music Walk of Fame this calendar year, probably on the same time frame as this past year, announced in the summer. Meant to be incorporated into AthFest. COVID luck might strike again 2 years in a row. So maybe that's something we can time right in 2022, when we also plan to do 5 more. So we plan to do an additional 5 of these each year and build out the Athens Music Walk of Fame and get some density on these 6 blocks. This is a SPLOS project with David Hale and Peter McCarran, the same duo that did a lot of the 3D works at the Children's Garden at the State Botanical Garden. They're teaming up to work on this 20-foot tall chicken that's going to be outside of the cooperative extension. That was a really fun one. It's perched on top of a concrete egg with a 4-foot diameter that you can actually crawl into if you wanted to, and really immerse yourself into the artwork. This one will really put our far west side, so right near Bogart, on the public art map, and so this is yet another exciting project. Right across the way from this is Fire Station Art, an entirely different public art project, but the selectors for this artwork were largely fire station employees, firefighters, the fire chief, and they pick something to serve their own purposes, which is exactly what we want our public art projects to do. Ongoing, about at the contract stage, almost ready to be signed, is the Whitehall Roundabout. Our first roundabout art. I actually don't know of any other in Georgia, so this might be a wholly unique thing for the whole state. As we figure out roundabouts as Southerners, maybe we'll learn to do more roundabout art. But this is a really great one, with Johnny Junkins Herzog selected, a local artist in this case. Our most recent selection is this mosaic by Krisha Ara, $10,000 project. And this is based on her own sighting of a blue heron close to this location, which happens to be her neighborhood. Installation planned for this upcoming summer with a public unveiling in the fall. And Clayton Street, that's fresh on everybody's minds. I don't need to belabor this one. We're very excited to have the right artist on this one, somebody that has done site visits and has kind of dealt with the 3-year slowdown. When we selected him 3 years ago, we never envisioned it dragging out this long, but this has been a real labor of love, and you guys can all see Eric working really hard to stretch that dollar, literally across 3 blocks of downtown. So this is some literal stretching of a concept. Our Greenway is our most recent and ongoing selection process. Not yet ready to be shared. I would violate our own NDA if I said too much about this one. But we have 3 finalists for this project, and we'll be convening another selection event within the next 2 or 3 weeks, with installation hopefully in the next year. Programs, y'all may remember recently approving the Poet Laureate initiative, the AC Poet Laureate, which is a new program for Athens-Clarke County. There are very few municipalities that have their own Poet Laureateship statewide, although Waffle House has its own official Poet Laureate. It's nice to see Athens joining the fray. And this couldn't have been timed any better, with Amanda Gorman putting poetry in the news 6 weeks ago. And one cool thing about this is that we will the poet laureate will have the option to pursue one of our own arts and community awards over their 2-year term to have some kind of public art project that incorporates poetry. That will be up to the discretion of the poet laureate. But this is kind of a new path for us. Thanks to the graciousness of the Mayor and Commission, we were able to fully award 50 Arts and Community Awards to provide COVID relief for 50 of our local artists, $2,000 each. This is Imagination Squared, which is on display at the Linden House most of the fall and early winter. And I'm proud to say this one will live at the public library. It's really kind of the right right project at the right time. It's a snapshot of immediate pre-COVID Athens, with literally hundreds of participants creating their own 5-inch squares. And on deck, we have our own full-time position starting soon, reporting in part to ACAC, although not officially. About 50% of the time will be devoted to ACAC's work, and reporting fully to Stephanie Rains in Leisure Services in the Arts Division. We had quite a few applicants for that position, so we're going to sift through the applicants. That position closed last week. But that's breaking ground. We haven't had public art employees in ACC unified government, well, in ACC government at all, since Jill Jane Reed's time in the 1980s, maybe the early 90s. So certainly a real banner moment to have a public arts employee coming squarely within ACC-UG. Our own Jackson Street Art Walk is coming down the road, probably in the tail end of the SPOS 2020 cycle, and then we'll be accepting new members. Currently, we have 9 members, 2 recycling off, so 9 members total, representing 8 of the districts in our county. So really good representation. Actually, only Tim Denson's and Mariah Parker's districts aren't currently represented by an ACAC volunteer. And aren't y'all pretty in front of one of our greatest public artworks that we're all very proud of. So I'll leave it here and be happy to answer any questions in the time that we have left. But our budget request is keeping things the same next fiscal year as they are now. So currently we pay staff time for the public art coordinator who reports to ACAC. That time, the staff position, when it becomes full time, will be paid from ACC-UG funds. Our plan is to reallocate the funds from our operating budget, $21,000 a year, and more than doubling our arts and community awards, and having a fall cycle in addition to the spring cycle that we've had for the last 5 or 6 years. That's important to maintain because of our different budget sources, our operating budget is the only one that can fund the performative, the non-physical. So dance, poetry, music, that can only be funded out of our $21,000 operating budget, which is why it's important to us and our community that operating budget not be reduced.
Thanks for that, Andrew. Questions from commissioners?
I have a question. I don't know if my video is working.
Yep, we got you.
Yeah, we allocated, what was it, $150,000 for COVID relief for artists.
100,000.
It was 100.
85 was your money and 15 was ours.
Okay. And you said 50 grants went out?
Of $2,000 each, yes.
Okay. And was that towards the display at was that the display at the Linden House? You said there were a couple hundred artists in that.
That was one of the 50 projects, was the one I pictured, Imagination Squared. And in that one project, there were over 100 collaborators. I think she collected 1,100 of 5-inch squares from around town.
Is there a list of the 50 grantees and any information about their projects available?
Yes, that's currently on our website. And all 50 projects have hyperlinks to the artist or to the project.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It's really going to lead to flourishment. Unfortunately, the process was really slowed down, not by our volunteers, but we convened in late August to determine the awardees. They only got paid in late January or early February. So the process took a lot longer than we'd envisioned. So if you aren't seeing a lot of these projects around town yet, it's because they didn't start until the contracts were in place and the checks were at hand. We didn't want our artists to go out of pocket for these projects.
So that payment cycle was due to ACC scheduling and dispersion of the funds.
It took a lot longer than we'd imagined. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think Russell had a question as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Andrew. Great presentation. Great job this past year.
Sure.
I had a question about the Lashinsky budget, 55,000. I thought it was more than that. Could you walk me through that figure?
Not really, aside from that should be 1% ish of the Clayton Street project.
I thought that project was more than 5 million. Blaine? Where are you at, Blaine? Blaine? Blaine on here? Blaine?
He is. And you might remember that project was funded by several SPLOST cycles. I'm not sure if that was at least part of the rationale that resulted in the project budget.
Okay.
Then the 1% approximate calculation emerged, I think, after the 2010 SPLOST.
To be honest, the Clayton Street project started before my time with ACAC, so I'm fuzzy on the specific details.
And Commissioner Edwards, I have to go back and look myself. I suspect the mayor's right. It's got some 2011 funds that might have been what it was keyed on, and then T-SPLOST funds were used to augment it. So I'll go back and find out.
Okay, thanks.
Might have even been a T-SPLOST from 2003. That's what I have in my head.
I believe there's some SPLOST 05 funds in that project.
There you go.
Like funding that pre-exists the 1% set-aside policy, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That's right. Any other questions for Andrew? Andrew, we're really excited about all this. I think it's part of what makes Athens a great place to walk down the street and experience. So
thanks for your support.
Really your work.
We're really excited to have the full-time person. We're all kind of spent keeping ACAC going along with just 10 to 12 hours of paid time over the last 3 or 4 years and close to zero before that. So thank you for buying into what we do and supporting it to the fullest extent that y'all have.
Looking forward to that chicken.
It's going to be really exciting.
Be cool.
If that's not an Atlas Obscura, something went wrong.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. All right, everybody. As we transition into the Greenway Commission, we are here at our final whistle stop on Independent Agency Night number 2 in Athens-Clarke County. And I see that there are a couple folks on already. See Jake Moss, a couple others. Y'all, format is we'll go ahead and turn it over to you for your presentation and then have a few minutes for questions from commissioners. So thanks to all of you for being here. go ahead and get started.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Sometimes it takes just a minute for it to kick in. There we go. Here it comes.
Okay. Can you see the slides well enough and hear me?
Yeah, we see the slides. There we go. And you're coming in through clearly.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. My name's Ross Hinkle, and we appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about some of the things we've done this year and continue to do, and to ask for your support for our budget request. I'll remind you that I'm new, the chair, replaced Nat Kirkendall, and I'm sure that you all know well. And with me tonight is Jake Moss, who's the vice chair of the Greenways Commission, and Lynn Abduni, who's also new, as myself, our treasurer. And I'll remind you, we have two other new members. I don't think they're on tonight. Carly Evans from the Athens Land Trust, and Charlie Barrow, who is a local attorney. And we are charged as a commission to advise the county, mayor and commission, and the president of the University of Georgia on the protection of natural resources of the North and Middle Oconee rivers and the tributaries and the floodplains.
Looking at your presentation, I apologize interrupting. Are you able to go full screen?
Let me see here.
And I would also say that, after this, if you could email this to us that way. There we go. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I will do that. Is that better?
Better. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. And we advise on rules and regulations to help protect and manage the Oconee River Greenway system, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. I'd like to have show a few slides to talk about some of the things that we continue to do and successes for the last year. Our Greenway network plan trail alignment was updated. And I have to tell you that included a lot of hours of development and revision to request and get public input from the community at large. I know that I personally participated in an activity at the farmers market, and a lot of public came by and very interested and value the Greenway system quite a lot. Other things that we've done this year in trail system construction projects, and when I say we've done, I mean that we consult with and advise and work with leisure services and the sustainability office in a large part with accomplishing these activities. We added a half-mile section of Greenway Trail along Martin Luther King Boulevard. Made progress in the acquisition of property at Carriage Lane for expansion of the south of their trail system, and participated in the negotiations for the Coney Hill Cemetery Gap of Trail, and worked with the Office of Sustainability and supported their Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program grant applications to improve Dudley Park along the Greenway corridor. We also support a Trail Ambassadors program, training volunteers to help out on the trails. And Jake, that coordinates our outreach, arranges for lots of activities that we participate in public service, such as Martin Luther King Day. We cleaned up invasive plants in Dudley Park. But the volunteers are an important part of maintaining our Greenway system, and we work to support training them. We commission and purchase a trail map that's distributed all over Athens and region to visitors and local citizens. Perhaps one thing that jumped out this year that I think was quite significant and demonstrates an incredible value of the Greenway system was that during the time of greatest need for people to get outdoors during the pandemic, the Greenway Trail and Riverside Parks had substantial growth in users. So more people are using the trails to social distance and even have spaces where they can meet outside. Our budget that we're asking for is broken up into 8 segments. I don't think I necessarily have to go through these. I believe you have this information. The total is $16,500, which is a flat budget. So we did not anticipate an increase this year. Along with our budget, I would like to mention that we do work, as I said, quite closely with leisure services and sustainability. And in their budget requests, there are several things that really do support the Greenway system. And we help in the planning and implementation of these. So I would like to put in a plug for supporting the budgets to increase for the Greenway and Dudley Park construction, the Sustainability Office support at Rock and Shoals, and Leisure Services Initiative at Rock and Shoals, and operations commencement for the Beach Haven Park. These are all extremely significant pieces of the Greenway system, and we look forward to working with the county and bringing those online. I would like to thank you for your support, and would say that this is my 2nd month on the commission, and I'm very, very excited about what it does and what opportunities we might have, and look forward to working with you and ACC government and the citizens regarding the growth and support of the Greenway system. And that's it. If Jake or Lynn have any additional comments, they're certainly welcome to make those now.
Well, thank you for that. I'll share that I think the Greenway network, not only the trails, but the natural spaces around, have been part of my mental health salvation, physical health salvation for the last year, sustaining through this time. So I appreciate your stewardship of all of that work. I want to go ahead and turn it over to commissioners for any questions you have. Anyone? Such is the glory of your work that it leaves everyone speechless.
Jesse has a question.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Well, I just felt like someone had to chime in to say y'all rock. So that's all I was chiming in to do. But thanks for the presentation.
Well, it's getting close to my bedtime, so I wanted to make it short. I'm a retired college professor, so but no, I spend quite a bit of time on the Greenway myself, and see an awful lot of people out there, and I really admire the work that Athens-Clarke County has done to do these projects. It's just incredible.
I think Carol had a contribution as well.
Yeah, well, you
muted yourself.
Again, love the Greenway too. And it's been wonderful during the COVID times especially, and I use it all the time for transportation as well. Do you all have have there been any counts done on the Greenway to sort of COVID versus pre-COVID times in terms of user count?
I think Leisure Services may have been looking at that. So you on?
Yes.
Hey, Alex Bond, Leisure Services liaison to the ORGC, and yes, we do have counters out, and we pull that data quarterly, and we can present you guys with something.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I'd love that. I mean, especially if it shows there's so many more people on it.
I have to tell you that Ross originally said we had exponential growth, which seemed plausible, but we didn't have the numbers in front of us, so I made him change it to substantial because that's what I do.
Thank you, Jake.
From dozens to millions.
I also would like to plug. We started a second Saturdays on the Greenway volunteer program. So we've been rained out a couple times because of course we have, but we recruit people to come out and do volunteer activities, including sign cleaning. We cleaned all the signs on the Greenway. We've just figured out how we can do invasive removal with volunteers. And so that's every second Saturday. So if you all want to come out and join us, you're more than welcome.
Jake, where do you volunteer days?
So it's in different places depending on what the activity is. So I think we were going to be doing last time we got rained out. That was the day that it was 38 degrees and pouring rain the entire day. We thought it would be a little bit cruel to ask people to come out and they might not come back if we did that. So, but I think we'll probably do that, try to make that happen again. And that would meet on the parking lot that's north of College Ave, the little parking lot. And we'd be doing ivy removal and hopefully some tree planting. But we'll disseminate that via our Facebook group, and it'll be on the volunteer page on the ACC, the volunteer thingy, whatever it's called.
Great. Thanks for that. Any other questions for Greenway commissioners? All right, everyone. Thus wraps our second day of independent agency budget hearings. We really appreciate everybody for what you do for the community, and commissioners, none more than you. Everybody, please have a great night and be safe out there. We'll see you soon.